All glories to Srila Gurudev. All glories to Swami B.P. Puri Maharaj for giving this treasure in the form of a book called Art of Sadhana. So today's topic is expertise in bhajana. What does it mean? What exactly bhajana means? Does the bhajana mean singing to attract the materialistic people? Does it mean how attractively to sing to please the public? This chapter is surely not about that. Then what is expertise in bhajana? Bhajana actually means spiritual sadhana. Singing is also one of them though. However, these bhajans are meant to please only Krishna. By pleasing Krishna, all the devotees who hear also become so blissful. Devotional bhajans are calming and go inside the heart and touch the soul. That is a big difference. But the demoniac music only aggravates our mind and senses and drags us into the ditch. We can see from the lives of those kind of people. We should use our talents and singing only to please Krishna. That is bhajana. In fact, scriptures say that if anyone sings anything but not to please Krishna and Guru, will surely take birth as a donkey. So as this book is about art of sadhana, this is one of the core topics of this book. So sadhana means spiritual activities, spiritual endeavors. There are so many spiritual sadhana that we covered and also will be covering. In our life, we may be doing so many things, so many activities, but sadhana means only for spiritual activities. Every spiritual activity is supposed to be only pleasing Krishna, making only Krishna happy. That is spiritual sadhana. Now let us get into the chapter. This is the very first sloka in this chapter. It says that Krishna Bhakti is very difficult to attain. It says Durlabha. Durlabha, that means very extremely difficult. There are 5 devotional activities. Associating with advanced devotees, chanting his holy names, listening to Bhagavata, Grantha Bhagavatam, and Bhakta Bhagavata. It's because Bhakta is also considered as a Bhagavatam. And also living in holy dhams in Vrindavan, Madhura, Navadvip, and so on. And serving the deities with full faith. But in this sloka, Srila Rupa Goswami says that Krishna Bhakti is extremely difficult to get for 2 reasons. Okay, 2 reasons. Sadhana Ugyair Anasangair Alabhya Suchirat Api Harina Chas Adeyati Dvidasa Siyad Sudurlabha. It is Sudurlabha. So otherwise it is that is Durlabha. Extremely difficult. So number 1, without genuine attachment to Krishna, one cannot attain devotional perfection. Even if he performs large amounts of devotional activities. What is genuine attachment? We will see as we go here. Krishna, okay, now the second point is Krishna does not easily give it to the aspirant. Unlike Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Krishna does not give it that easily. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very special. He opened up this treasure to everyone. because he came in the mood of Srimati Radharani. But anyway, according to this, there are two things to happen. One is outgoing, asanga. Asanga means reaching out to Krishna. That is expertise in sadhana. Because we have to make the first step. We cannot say that, okay, Krishna will take care of everything and then he will feed me, he will wake me up, he will make, not like that. We have to take first step towards Krishna ourselves. That is how when we take the initiation first. So the second is reciprocation of mercy coming from Krishna. So it's a two-way. One is what we do first. And the second is the reciprocation. In return, that Krishna is giving mercy. But this reciprocation depends on the reason we want to attach with Krishna. Let us explore. First is the genuine attachment. That is outgoing. Krishna wants our whole heart. This is not part of it. Krishna accepts only the heart. That does not have any attachment to anything other than him. This is where the problem comes. This is where the problem comes. Because unlike any other worship, Krishna worship is very, very different. Because he is the only one who can give the topmost goal of every soul. We can ask ourselves, have I given my whole heart to Krishna? The truth is that our heart is divided into so many pieces. Krishna usually sits just at a little corner somewhere in our heart. How is our heart divided into pieces? One part for my wife or husband, one part my children, one part for my home, one part my investments, one part my career, and so many things. But unfortunately, Krishna makes it very clear. He does not want that kind of heart. So we have a big problem already. We have a big problem already. And when we give complete heart to Krishna, he will take care of your family, your children, your home, whatever that he wants to do, he will take care of. We see, after all, for that Lord who just by wishing all the universe is all created. How can, why he can't really take care of these small things? But the problem is, we think that we are the masters in this world. We are the one who do everything in this world. But after all, we came with nothing and we are going to go back surely with nothing. Except one thing, how much devotion that we developed in this life. Whatever devotion to him we develop, we will carry all of them. But not even a single penny from this world. Never. So that was first one. So the second is, Krishna has to bestow his mercy, right? So Krishna does not give bhakti that easily. We even may be giving our whole heart to him. But we have to see what is the motive, what purpose, for why we are giving our whole heart to him. What is the motive behind that? The Pandavas gave their whole heart to Krishna. But once in a dialogue, King Yudhishthira was asking Krishna, "Oh Krishna, we gave our whole hearts to you. What we need from you is that we should have the best palace, best children, big kingdom, and so on." And Krishna replied, "Well, giving those kind of things is not my nature. If I need a soul to me, I will only deprive them from wealth and everything. And I will make him to cry, and he will come to me, and I will give the most and topmost thing that I can ever give is prema. Is prema." This is what the prema, Krishna Bhakti, Krishna prema, not even the gods, Devadas, they are not able to get it. But he will give that, provided we give our whole heart, but only for the love's sake, only for him to serve and only to please him. Whether singing bhajans or doing chantings, everything, whatever the service, seva that we do, all should go to him. Then he will give the prema. So in that respect, compared to what Pandavas asked, Kunti Devi was so better. When Krishna was departing to Dwaraka, he asked everyone okay, I am going now to Dwaraka. I don't know when I will be back again. Please, whatever that you want, ask me, I can give. So many people were asking so many things. When Krishna asked Kunti Devi, she was very intelligent. She said, "Oh Krishna, do not trick me like this." In fact, I actually want only one thing. What is that? Because Krishna calls Kunti as Attai. Attai means in Tamil, Mami, right? That is how the relation is through Vasudeva and Kunti Devi, right? They were sisters, brother and sister. So, oh Krishna, but I am going to ask you something, but you should not say no. Yes, Attai, okay. So he said, oh Krishna, give me only one thing. Always give me problem after problem. Who in this world will ask like this? But then Krishna was curious. Of course he knows. He knows what is the intent. He is sitting in everyone's heart. So he knows. Why are you asking that, Attai? Then she replied, only when you give me problem, I will think about you. Because we had so many problems. You are always with us. So then only we know that you will be with us. So give me problems. And what did Krishna say? Tadastu. So now look at the mindset of Kunti Devi. Kunti Devi's teaching is very, very famous. Very famous. These are all high topics. So this is how a devotee should really position in order to get the mercy from Krishna. Not for I am worshipping for money, I am worshipping for job, I take care of this and that. No. That is not the pure bhakti. That is not the real bhakti what we are talking about. You give yourself to him, then he will take care of everything. So that very first sloka, that we covered, brings so much of philosophy. It says that one may be performing intense sadhana such as chanting, and so many things are there. So many people are chanting though. But it is not that everyone immediately gets Krishna. So those are the two reasons. Genuine attachment. Genuine attachment means sambandha. Sambandha means attachment. It should be genuine. This means putting only Krishna as the most important and all others unimportant. Put Krishna in your heart, but all the relations and duties on your head. Because you don't want to have attachment to those. Wealth, family, relatives. No, put it on your head. Do as a duty. But never carry that with you. That is why Krishna chose to sit on the heart, not on the head. Head is not important. The brain is not important. The heart, because it has love. But who gives this intense attachment? The sambandha. Who is a sambandha jnani? The jnani who knows sambandha, the relation. Only one who is intimately connected to Krishna. Krishna lives in his heart. Only he can connect us to Krishna and give us the sambandha, connection. Because we have the plug in the wall. So you just plug in and then the fan runs, right? Because that wall is connected to your electricity station. If that is like Krishna. So if the wall socket is like Gurudev, Guru. So if the Guru is not connected to Krishna, how will you get to Krishna? How will you get to Krishna? Right? So you just like plugging into a wall socket, we are not going to get electricity because that plug is not connected to your electricity company. So you need something very important. That is why we have to beg for mercy from a Vaishnava. That is why these songs, all the things are coming. Kripa karo Vaishnava Thakur Sambandha Jnaniya. See, he is a Sambandha Jnani. Then when you get Kripa karo, when you get mercy, what happens? Bhajite. So Sambandha Jnani, what he gives? Kripa karo Vaishnava Thakur Sambandha Jnaniya Bhajite Abhimana Hau Abhimana Hau. What does he do? When you can do bhajana, when you can really do proper worship of Krishna, bhajite, he gives sambandha jnana. When the Guru blesses, he gives initiation. What happens? You can start doing bhajana. And what happens? Abhimana how dur. Your ego, dur means duram. Duram, it goes all the way away. Abhimana means, what is that? That's the ego. Ahangaram will go away. You will think that I am not important. Krishna is so big. I am a dust of the dust. When that comes, then Krishna's mercy will come. So to get the mercy, that means the second point, to get the mercy from Krishna, you need to get the mercy of a Vaishnava who establishes the Sambandha, and then only you can do bhajana. So it does not matter how much I try, but a Vaishnava has to come in your life to connect and give Sambandha. This is important. So for that you have to live like a shadow following the Guru. We saw that in the last class. We cannot simply connect to Krishna ourselves. No, do you want to take your fan and straight away go to the 4,000 watt electricity company to really put there? Put the thing, it will blow. Because Krishna is so powerful. So there has to be a transformer which will reduce the voltage so that I can understand about Krishna. So because our brain is not that intelligent, there is nothing. We cannot understand anything about Krishna. But only Guru will give. He will it is like a bird, a mother bird who really goes and then collects the food. And for the babies, he himself choose. He really choose. She really puts that, and then he really gives that into the beak of that bird. That is how a Guru is doing. A Guru is not a servant to us to serve our demands. We cannot really call him, oh, I want this one, I want this to be taken care. That is none of his business. His only business is to make you Krishna consciousness. There is nothing else in his agenda. So the second one we saw was getting mercy from Krishna. So we also saw the mercy from Krishna is not automatic. Krishna is not easily going to give Krishna Bhakti. That is what that sloka says. I don't want to get stuck in only one sloka. I have to go. But anyway, just because a connection is given through the initiation does not mean that the flow is automatic. That means, what is that? We need to do Vaishnava Seva. We may say, I am doing deity Seva, and I am chanting, I am taking care of the temple, I am taking care of these and deities, but Krishna says that he is attracted only to those who do Guru and Vaishnava Seva. But the problem is that for so many, there is no such thing even as Guru. They are egoistic. They don't think that they have to really to take this step in this life. This is the rare human, the human birth is very, very rare. But even for some who have got one, they are not closely related to the Guru. Not like a shadow. I told the story of Aruni the other day. There are so many stories about this topic. Those who really would have got my email about our Gurudev's lecture about on the Akshaya Tritiya, you must really read more. So the bottom line is, mercy from Krishna comes only when we do Guru and Vaishnava Seva. Srila Jiva Goswami says in Bhakti Sandarbha that satisfying the Guru is the main cause of attaining divine love and service. In support of these particular assertion, he cites the Agama Shastra. As an alchemist's touch turns copper into gold, so the spiritual master's touch makes his disciple transcendental like Lord Vishnu himself. Lord Vishnu has 55 qualities. Lord Shiva has 50. Lord Vishnu has 55. Lord Narayana has 60. And Lord Krishna has 64. Moreover, Sri Jiva Goswami cites Srimad Bhagavatam, where Sri Krishna himself says, I, the soul of all the beings, cannot be satisfied as much my ritual worship by generating progeny, by observing vratas, or by controlling the mind. No, but how how I will be satisfied? By faithful service rendered to one spiritual master. It seems then the service to the spiritual master is what accounts for any success in our attempts at making spiritual progress. Talking about genuine attachment, here is a sloka that is a big sloka. I don't want to really keep on reciting so many slokas. So here, first we have to ask our question. Do I have genuine devotional feelings? So this in a nutshell, it says that one who thinks the deity in the temple to be made of wood or metal or stone or some palingu, whatever, and who thinks that the spiritual master in the disciplic succession is an ordinary man, or who thinks a Vaishnava belongs to certain caste or creed, or one thinks Charanamrita or Ganges water as ordinary water, or one who considers the mantra composed of names of Lord which destroys all the sin to be just ordinary words, or who considers the supreme Lord of all Lord, Krishna, to be equal to an ordinary human being. See, in South India, you won't believe that people are thinking that Krishna is a superman. What a nonsense that is going on there. Because of the Shankaracharya, Vivekananda, and all these Mayavadis, they really completely kill the devotion. They even promote to eat meat. So who will think like this? Two kinds of people. Yetists, Mayavadis. So according to this sloka, I haven't really gone through completely actually. The last line is Yasya va naraki saha. Those kind of people will go to Naraka, to the hell. This is from Padma Purana. So we should think that we should never think a deity is made of, but once it is installed, Bhagavan is there. There is no question. And Vaishnavas are not ordinary human beings. And then similarly, whatever the word mantra, they are all not just words. They have to be kept very secret, not to be revealed to anyone. So now if we see here, look at here now, three things are connected. In the last class I was telling, and look at how this again confirms that. You have deity, and you have mantra, and you have guru. There is no difference between these three. That's what the sloka said before. So we saw that accepting a guru and doing guru seva, one gets genuine sambandha, intense loving attachment to Krishna, and makes Krishna's mercy to flow. So accepting a guru gives genuine attachment to Krishna, and serving guru gives mercy from Krishna to flow. With these two in places, we will be happy forever and perform our sadhana. So today's topic is actually performing sadhana, expertise in sadhana. Now let us delve into more details. There are 4 important aspects of expertise in bhajana, sadhana, bhajana, sadhana is the same. Now, this is only 4 important ones. There are so many. I think there are some 64. We are taking only 4 out of that. Nama Sankirtan, performing Nama Sankirtan, desireless devotion. Desireless means no selfish desire. We should not be asking for this and that and all kinds of cats and dogs. That is not devotion. That is business. I give some money, I give some these flowers, this everything. Oh Krishna, you have to now take care of my job and this. So that is not a proper devotion. And being a Laksheswara, you have to be a Lakshadipati. We will come to what is Lakshadipati. You have to have 1 lakh rupees. We will see. Offenseless chanting. We should make sure that our chanting is perfect. So let us take the first one, performing Nama Sankirtan. Many scriptures say that chanting the holy names of Krishna is the best. Of that, performing Nama Sankirtan is even superior. So this sloka from Srimad Bhagavatam says, Yetan nirbhidyamananam Icchatam akuto bayam Yoginam nrupa nirnitam Harer namanukirtanam. He's talking to a king, and it is said that, O king, it has been ascertained that for those yogis who are indifferent to material pleasures and who desire complete fearlessness, the best path is constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord. So that was Nama Sankirtan chanting. Second, perform desireless devotion. This is hard for many, even sampradayas. They are stuck. What is desireless devotion? Performing devotion with because if one is performing devotion with any kind of desires for material or spiritual or even both, that is actually it's not a desireless. What are the materialistic desires? Going to heaven and enjoy there, becoming rich and famous, and so on. What are the spiritualistic desires? Merging into Brahman. This is all the crazy about the Hindus. Merging into Brahman, spiritual suicide, and going to Vaikunta, and so many things. This sloka from Srimad Bhagavatam talks about desireless devotion. That's what this sloka that I recited is. So here in this sloka, it says, the meaning is, all the people of intelligence. Who is that? Udaradihi. Udaradihi means people which have intelligence. Okay? Akamak sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradihi tivrena bhakti yogena Yajeta Purusham Param. All the people who really have real intelligence, Udaradihi, should worship the Supreme Person by the process of intense Bhakti Yoga without any personal desire. That is the thing. What are the personal desire? Akama, Sarva Kamova, Moksha Kama. No, nothing for us. Do you think that he will, only by telling I have a problem, he will know that you have a problem? Even a father knows what the child wants. Why are you asking all the things? So the people with real intelligence, what do? They will follow Bhakti Yoga, worshipping Krishna without any personal desire or any kinds of desires. or seeking liberation, moksha. And the third point, one must be a Laksheswara, Lakshadipati. What is meant by Lakshadipati? Okay, there is a nice story behind. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was living in Jagannath Puri, so many devotees used to invite him to have prasadam at their homes. Oh Lord, come and then please have prasadam in our home. Because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Radha and Krishna combined form. It's what a wonderful opportunity for them to really serve the Lord. But Lord said, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, no, I can eat only at the home of Laksheshwara, one who possesses at least 1 lakh. Everyone surprised. They asked, oh Lord, none of us are rich. We do not even have 1,000 rupees at our homes. What to speak of 1 lakh? But if you do not accept our invitation, we better give up our life and die. And then the Lord smiled and answered, do you know what I mean by Lakshadipati? Lakshapati? I mean that someone who chants 100,000 names of Lord Krishna every day. I will eat only in those homes and nowhere else. Now the devotees were so happy. They became so extremely joyful. Every household was chanting at least 64 rounds a day of Maha Mantra. So that is why Prabhu is saying, Mahaprabhu was saying, if you do that, you are going to achieve the topmost goal. Prabhu bale je Krishna bhakti aache, kushala mangala tara, nityada ke pache. Like this, anyone who does devotion for Krishna, he will be given all the good fortunes and the real happiness. And finally, he will take that devotee to him. No more birth, no more suffering, no more death. Always happy there. So now, the fourth one is offenseless chanting. I am not going to probably read the whole sloka. If this sloka is really so intense, I will just go through the summary. If someone chants the holy name with offense, what is offense? They will be chanting at the same time talking. That's one of them. Chanting, seeing the TV, right? And the thing is, they do not understand. When they are chanting, they are holding the beads. It is you are holding the deity of Radha Krishna. Isn't it that Krishna is just standing in front of you and you will be talking to something else? Will be doing all kinds of nonsense? No. So that is offense. We will actually see what are the offenses. There are so many. So if we do chant with offense, then the love for Krishna won't come. That's the problem. We will be the loser. We are the loser. The karmic workers and Mayavadis, and also those who really seek sense gratification and liberation will not develop any love for Krishna. We covered this about the asking for liberation and all the things. They will never have love for Krishna. It won't develop. So devotion or the love to Krishna is only attainable through engagement in pure devotional practices. And this is very rare. That is why you don't see that many Krishna Bhakta. Of millions, lakhs and lakhs of dharmis, dharmi means who really follow religions. Only one will become a jnani. And out of lakhs of jnani, one will become liberated. Out of the lakhs and lakhs of liberated, hardly any Krishna Bhakta is there. I mean real Krishna Bhakta. Yeah, people say, I love Krishna. I go to the temple Krishna. But the thing is, what kind of love is that you have? So devotion to Krishna is only attainable through engagement in pure devotional practices and is thus very rare. sense gratification and the liberation are like the mother of pearl. People, you must have seen that, the muttu, the pearl, right? Pearl, you have fake pearl. These are all fake pearl. They go there, worship for their own business. They do business. They are called what? These artificial pearl. That's all it is. There is nothing, no value. So worthless. While bhakti, the real bhakti is a pearl, real pearl, a jewel of great value. The glory of the living entity comes from the attainment of pure devotion. If one's practice is done expertly, there is no necessity in engaging in great amounts of practices. You have to follow the Guru. So the creeper of devotional service will grow and give the fruits of love to the devotee. Automatically, when you really follow Guru and do the chanting offenselessly. And so giving up the 10 offenses and chanting the holy name is one of the expertises that gives power to your devotional practices. Now let us quickly go through, because this one I covered in the Jaiva Dharma. I am just quickly go through just for the sake of coverage. Satam nindanam na param aparadam vitanute yadakyatim yatam katamu sagate tu tadvigarnaham. Criticizing, this is the big one, this is the number one offense. What is the offense? Aparadam. What is the first aparadam? Criticizing. Criticizing means what? Making the devotees, real Krishna devotee to cry. You are finished. You will be thrown out of the temple. You will be thrown out from far away from Krishna. So this says, criticizing or blaspheming saints and great bhaktas. What does it do? It makes terrible offense towards Sri Nama and Sri Krishna. How can Sri Krishna tolerate blasphemy of great souls who are devoted to Sri Nama and Sri Krishna, and who preach the glories of Sri Krishna Nama in the whole world? Therefore, the first offense is criticizing and blaspheming the pure Krishna bhaktas. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says about this great aparadam, Vaishnava aparadam. It is like a mad elephant entering into a house. Suppose an elephant enters into a house, what will happen? Do you think that will come and then sit in your sofa and then watch the TV? No. What will it do? It will destroy everything. It's a mad elephant. Mad elephant. Maybe the normal elephant may be coming there and then maybe sitting on the sofa and then probably it may be watching your TV. But mad elephant will not do. Aparadha is like mad elephant. It will destroy your bhakti, finished. Your bhakti will be finished and wiped out. It is like a plant. Small plant is coming and you are actually pulling out. You may be having little bhakti coming. But if you do aparadha, it's just deep-rooted and trashed. Your plant is now finished. No more bhakti, nothing. So we have to be extremely careful about this. We have seen that someone who thinks that he is a great devotee insults and makes others devotees to cry. This will kill their bhakti. We have to be extremely careful. Then the second one. To think that Lord Shiva as independent or equal to Vishnu. See, in South India, there's a big problem. They don't really read any sastras, nothing. They can read only Tamil. Tamil, what is there in Tamil? Mayavadis. So he's saying that, Shivasya Sri Vishnorya Iha Gunanamadi Sakalam Diya Binnam Pashyet Sakalu Harinami Hitakaraha. In this material world, Sri Vishnu's name, Sri Vishnu's form, and his qualities, pastimes, and so on are all auspicious for everybody, all the souls. If one considers them to be material and different from Sri Vishnu himself, this is problem. You cannot chant. Your chanting of Harinama will be problem. It is a Nama aparadha. To believe that Shiva, Lord Shiva and all the other devas are independent. Oh, Shiva is different, Vishnu is different, this is different, that is different. But what is the fact is? So not only Lord Shiva, Sadashiva and so on, but all the gods are not independent. They all are dependent under Lord Krishna. So they are not independent. Their powers actually come from Lord Krishna. Lord Shiva himself says, this is Narada Panjaratra. He says that his life and soul is to protect Vaishnavas because he is the first Vaishnava. Vaishnavanam yada sambhuh, nimnaganam yada Ganga. So all the rivers, Ganga is the topmost. Devanam Achyuto yata. All the gods, Devanam Achyuto. Who is that? Achyuta is Krishna. Vaishnavanam, all the Vaishnavas, yata sambhuh. First Vaishnava is Lord Shiva. And Purananam idam tada. Of all the Puranas, Srimad Bhagavatam is the best. So here Lord Shiva is saying, the first Vaishnava, he's saying, Mama Prana Vaishnavahi Desham Rakshartam Yevahi Sulam Maya Daryatehi Nanyata Maitra Karanam. What is the Karanam? For what purpose I am having the Trishul? Do you think I am going to be really using for my show? No. Why? Mama Prana Vaishnavahi. Yeah, my prana, my soul, my dear is Vaishnavas. For that Vaishnavas, I am giving my life to protect them. So since Vaishnavas are as dear to me as my own life, I accept the trident, the Trisulam, for their protection. There is no doubt about this. Who reads this? And the fourth one, the third one. The third aparadha is to disrespect Sri Guru, who knows Mahatattva, all the Tattvas and Krishna and Nama Tattva. By considering him as an ordinary human, mortal human being, with a body made of these 5 material elements, he is also aparadha. What is the proof? Padma Purana says, Guru Ravanya Sruti Satra Nindanam Tadartha Vado Hari Namni Kalpanam. We'll take only in this slide, we'll take only Guru Avignana Sruti. Okay, then we'll do the Sruti Sastra and etc. in the next slides. So here it says, Krishna Sakti Vinanahe Tara Pravartana. Unless a devotee is specifically empowered by the Lord, because this is what Shastra says. Okay, so we are taking only the first portion. Guror Avignana. So that means, for that, it said that in the Krishna Sakti Vinanage Tara Pravartana, unless a devotee is specifically empowered by the Lord, he cannot preach. No way. He cannot preach the holy name of the Lord all over the world. This is an explanation of the word Avesha Rupa. It's Avesha Rupa. Okay, in that sloka I was talking about, Avesha Rupa. Because what happens is, when somebody is really dedicate his life, completely giving the whole thing, everything only for satisfying Krishna, Krishna gives the power. That is that is called Avesha Rupa, Satyavesa avatar. Like for example, Prabhupada is a Satyavesa avatar. Our Gurudev is actually, again Manjari of Radha Krishna. So these all can really teach the entire world. In fact, for that, we have to, for those, we have to have devotion and serve them. So the Shastras, all the Shastras proclaim, Guru Bhakti is said to be more powerful than even Krishna Bhakti. Look at that. This is amazing. I don't want to keep on, so because the time is running. What is the fourth one? It is coming from the same sulaka that I gave. Shruti Shastra Nindanam. To criticize pure Bhakti Shastras. There are so many Shastras. That's not what it is talking about here as Shastra. Vedas are the manual, user manual for the world. They should be respected. But due to the influence of Muslims and so many things, all the Bhakti Shastras were destroyed. Under Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, our 6 Goswamis revealed many of them back. And Lord Chaitanya declared, we need to have only one Shastra. What is that Shastra? We don't need any other Shastra. Srimad Bhagavatam. That is the only thing that we need to ever read. We don't need anything else. And the fifth one, is to think the power of Nama is exaggeration. That is tadarthavado. To think that the glorification of Sri Harinama in the Shastra is an exaggeration. Many, especially the Mayavadis, say that Harinams are exaggerated for their powers. We have to be very, very careful. South India, we have to be very, very careful. So actual fact is, what is that? Nam namakari bagudani de sarva saktis tatra arpita niyamita smaranena kala yeta trishi tava kripa bhagavan mamapi durdaivam idrisham iha janinanuraga. This is from Sikshashtakam, verse 2. Oh my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benefits. He can take care of everything. And thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna, Govinda, Achyuta, Keshava, so many, Rama, so many. In these transcendental names, you have put all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules to even chant your names. You can chant anywhere. But because of my unfortunate nature, I don't have attraction for them. This is my problem. And the sixth offense is Harinamini Kalpanam. To interpret Sri Harinama as a mundane way. The Harinama, that thing that is a product of imagination. Many Mayavadis say that the Harinamas are imaginations. And only Brahman is the real. It is wrong. That is why Mayavadis can never get Krishna Bhakti, period. It's not possible. They say, I am God, you are God, everybody is God. This is the problem. But what exactly the scriptures say? This Brahman is an effulgent. There is a sun there. From the sun, the radiance is coming out. That is the Brahman. Brahma anga kanditanra nirvishesha prakashe surya yena charma shakshe jyotirmaya bhashe. All the Brahman is nothing but your radiance, oh Bhagavan, oh Krishna. From you, your effulgence, the radiance, the light is coming so much everywhere. It's all there, like sun is really giving the light. But people are blinded by just because of the light. They cannot go beyond. So Mayavadism has to be stopped. Here is the seventh one. To engage in sinful acts on the power of Nama. This is what some religions also do. They do all kinds of things, all kinds of nonsense throughout the week. Then on one day they go to wherever and then tell the priest saying, oh, I have done this aparadh, okay, I want to really ask for forgiveness. All right, forgiveness. And then what happens next again? Next week also same thing will be there. Then again go for ask for. This is nonsense. So what it is saying is, Nam no balad yasya hi pahapa buddhir. Na vityate dasya yamairhi suddhihi. This is from Padma Purana. What is it saying? Because on the strength of Harinama, on the strength of the Lord, on the strength of Bhagavan, we should never engage ourselves in sinful activities such as eating meat, doing all kinds of nonsense. No, people are even reluctant to even get Harinama. Why? They cannot even follow this force. See, the Gurudev gives Harinama for just as long as you don't eat meat, you don't drink any wine, and all the alcoholic stuff, and then you don't really do any gambling, right? Sudatam. And then another one is you don't really have outside marriage, you are not really going and then doing all kinds of nonsense. How many people are taking Harinam? Hardly anyone, because they have problem here. So what happens is they are doing sinful activities. This is the problem. So it's saying that it is certain that one who is engaged in sinful activities on the strength of Harinama cannot be purified by any brata, yama, niyama, dhyana, tarana, nothing will work there. So also one should never think that as the Harinama is powerful, I can keep on making sins and chant the Harinama to clear the sin. This is very, very dangerous. And here the eighth one. Many people take easy on giving importance to Harinama. Okay? Because they think that rituals are higher than chanting Harinama. But this Padma, Padma Purana says it's different. Dharma Vrata Tyaga Hutati Sarva Subhakriya Samyam Api Pramadaha. It is an offense to think that rituals like yajnas and these and all the things are superior than to chanting Harinama. So Dharma, Vrata, Tyaga, so many people actually do Vrata for so many things, even for their husbands and wives or children, all many things. What is the use of it? These children or the husband or wife, they don't belong to us. We are Jiva. It's only in this birth we have these, unfortunately we are all stuck with. But they are doing Vrata for their husband and then wives. Then Tyaga and Homa, for what? Homa for good for the family. No, we have to do Vaishnava Homa, where you chant the Harinama and you glorify the Harinama and the Vaishnavas. So these kind of things, this Dharma, Vrata, Tyaga and normal materialistic Homa, they should never have anything to do with our Harinama. They are very, very low. In fact, you see, I think last time when I really put a sloka, Gogoti Danam Grahane Gagasya Prayaga Gango Daga Kalpavasa Yanyayutam Meru Suvarna Danam Govinda Kirterna Samam Satam Say. This from Skanda Prana. One may give 10 million cows. So many lakhs, 100 lakhs. That many cows. 10 million means 100 lakhs. Lakhs of cows in charity. What? Solar eclipse. Grahane Kagasya. That is very, very, very auspicious. Or one may live in Prayag, near the Ganga for one kalpa. One kalpa is what? One kalpa means 1 day of Brahma. 4.32 billion years. And one may perform 10,000 yajnas, sacrifices. And one may give gold as size of Sumer mountain. But all this cannot compare even to one of 100 spots of the benefit of chanting the Lord Krishna's Nam Govinda. See, look at here. This is not exaggeration. That is the power of the Lord's name. But do we chant properly is another question. Now, ninth one. Giving Harinama to faithless people. This is also another aparata. One who is not really elevated to at least accept a Harinama as the topmost and they dedicate to chant. We never give them Harinama. Ashraddadane vimukye api ashrunavavati. Yes, Kopadesha Shiva Nama Aparada. It is Nama Aparada to give instructions on auspicious Sri Harinama to those who are faithless or averse to hearing Sri Harinama. This is very significant. It says that we should never give Harinama to the faithless. That is why in the family sometimes hardly anyone really gets Harinama, the other ones just not even touched. What will happen? When one surrenders to a guru and then getting initiated, Lord Yama says, declares. That is another Harikatha. He says, they are beyond my jurisdiction. They are not in my Yalhai. He is not in our jurisdiction. Yamaraja can come, Yamaraja can never come to a place where a initiated devotee is living and chanting. That is it. So he says clearly, Dudas, Yamadudas, be careful. Don't go to the places where people really wear the tulasi beads and have the tulasi mala in their hand. You will be finished. Never go to them because they belong to the Lord Hari. Because they are all protected by Krishna directly. Never even to touch them. Go near them. Keep far away from them. Anyway, I will cover that later. So here is the last one, and I think we are running out of time also. I think we'll be coming by. This is the tenth one. Even when one hears the glories of the Harinama, but he is not inclining to chanting. Why? Bad association. Another one, sense gratification. Another one, all kinds of funny things going on there with him. Basically, all desires. All kinds of desires, sense gratifications, and bad association. They will not have interest in chanting the Harinama. So this is also actually an aparat. That means whoever hears that Harinama is the ultimate, and but not even chanting, is also an aparat. Shrute api nama mahatmye yeg priti rahito naraha aham mamadi paramo namniso api aparada krit. So he is also a nama aparati. Even after hearing the wonderful glories of Sri Nama, the names of Krishna, he does not show love or enthusiasm for chanting Sri Nama, but clings firm to his material conception. I, mine, this is mine, that, I am the body, I am this and that, I am made of blood and flesh and skin. And these kind of things is what? If you are thinking like this and not chanting, is also considered as an aparat. And the last slide is I want to talk about one small section that Swamiji is really talking about. Because all, see, chanting Harinama and also to do that effectively, we should be very careful not to make any offense. As we have seen, only 10 of them out of the something, probably 50 or something, only 10 of them we really covered. They're holy. See, now what I'm saying here is in this section, there is also, Swamiji is actually mentioning about the mercy of the Gaura Nitai Nam. Gauranga Mahaprabhu names. Nitai, Chaitanya, Nityananda Prabhu's name. Gaura Nitai. Gaura Nitai is so powerful, and also this is more merciful. So their holy names, what? Gaura and Nitai. These names are more merciful to bestow love for Sri Radha Krishna. But however, we cannot make offenses just because they are merciful. When we chant their name, the mercy comes a little quicker than chanting the Lord's name. Chaitanya Nityanande Nahiye Sabha Vichara Namalaite Prema Dena Vahe Ashrudara. Chaitanya Charitamrita. As soon as anyone chants their names, one is awarded the ecstasies of love for Radha Krishna. And tears will start flowing from your eyes. The ultimate goal is to serve Sri Radha Krishna. And summary of the class today is, so the topic was expertise in bhajana. What are the things that we covered? 5 main devotional activities. And then we also covered, we have to give our whole heart only to Krishna. All the other duties, as a duty, put it on your brain. That's it. Heart has to be only to Krishna. Heart is the one which has affection. Beg for mercy, beg for his mercy. But it will come through Vaishnavas. And do Nama Sankirtan, desireless devotion, and be a Laksheshwara. You know what exactly now that means by Laksheshwara. And chant offenselessly. And topmost is Radha Krishna worship. And Gaura Nitai, that, Gauranga Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu are so merciful, and their Nama, their names are so merciful even compared to anything else. So now, to conclude, we want to glorify Nitai Gaura, Gaura Nitai. Nitai Gaura Nama, Ananda Dama. He is the one who really gives these wonderful opportunities for us to get back to Krishna. So the holy names of Nitai and Gaura are the abode of jubilation. Those who never utter these names are taken by Yamaraja and immersed in the hellish plant. That's what this sloka says. Those who never wear tulasi neck beads take their permanent residence in the abode of Yamaraja. So think about it. Am I really wearing a tulasi bead? Because that's what Yamaraja is saying. He is out of my jurisdiction. Am I wearing? No. You belong to Yamaraja. The department is different. You are all separate department. And those who never adorn their foreheads with tilaka live their lives in vain. If you don't wear tilaka, it's like dead body. That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says. Those who never chant Harinama have an unfavorable destiny. They will go to Yama and punished because they do all kinds of nonsense. They are all so they will be subjected to the jurisdiction, and that's what at the end there is the Yamaraja will decide how long you have to live in the hell, how long here, etc., etc. All those things are there. That is the day of the judgment. So they are fallen and their stone-like hearts are filled with deceit. And what will be the destination of those who never serve the Vaishnavas? Now the time has come to receive Diksha from Sri Guru. That's the 4th verse. Diksha from Sri Guru. If one chants these mantras carefully, one will come to live in Braja forever. The mode of ignorance will go. Goodness will come in the heart. And one will become the eternal servant of Krishna. This song was written by Lochana Dasa. So this Lochana Dasa instructs everyone to always chant Gauranita's holy names to get what? Get the love for Sri Radha Krishna. Okay. So see you all next week again. And Vanja Kalpa Taruchecha, Kripa Sandupyevacha, Paditanam Pavanepyo, Vaishnavepyo, Namo Namaha. Thank you, Hare Krishna.